Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we're NV Board Gaming. And today we're looking at Seti, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. This is a game for 1 to 4 players. It's designed by Thomas Halak, and it is published by Czech Games Edition. Nick is going to go through how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Alrighty, welcome to the table. We are set up for a 2-player game of Seti, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Here is our main board. Off to the side down here, I have a player board example, which I'll be referencing a lot for actions. This is a game that is going to be played in 5 rounds. It's an action selection game. You're going to pick an action, and then you can do any series of bonus actions. The game will end after 5 rounds. A round consists of playing basically as long as you want or can in a single round that you decide to pass. So, I will be referencing one of the cheat sheets we have here in order to explain every action you can pick in this game, along with some of the free actions you have. So, first, we're going to have one of these income cards here, and it's going to say what you start with. In this case, we all start with the same, I believe, in these, so it doesn't really matter which color you decide to pick. I'm going to be the green player. We're all going to start with 4 broadcasts, which is tracked up in the top right of your screen. We're going to start with 4 currency here, these credits, 3 energy, and 5 cards at random. Then we're going to go ahead and turn one of those 5 cards into an income. And those income is going to be tracked here at the bottom right. So we're going to slide a card here that will add to our total income. So you can see right now our income is 3 credits, 2 energy, and 1 random card. So we can add on to that. So we're going to take our resources and our cards, then tuck one of the incomes there. Income, you can see at the bottom right of all these cards. You can put a random top deck card. You can put an energy down there. You can put a credit down there in the examples that I have. All right, so that's how we're starting the game, with getting those resources and tucking in income. Then on our turns, we're going to have any number of choices. We can play a card. We can launch a probe. We can orbit a planet. We can land on a planet or a moon. We can scan. We can analyze data, and we can research a tech. So let's go over these one at a time. First, starting with play a card. Play a card has a main action, and it also has a bonus, like a free action that you can use. If you're going to use it for a free action, all you care about is the icon at the top left. This one is moving on a planet, so if you have something on the solar system board here, then you can go ahead and move and discard this card. That's a free action. You can discard this card to move on the broadcast track, or, and what is that? Publicity, I believe. And this one will give you data. So those are some examples. But if you're going to do it as a main action, you're going to pay the credits right here. So any number of credits to do certain actions or achievements. So we have some instant actions like this. You can pay 2 credits to choose 3 probes from yours or other players, and you can mark an area in that sector. These are kind of like goals. When you achieve them, you can mark them and get that instant reward. So every time you launch a probe, you're going to go ahead and mark these, and so on. When you visit Jupiter, you can mark it. When you visit Saturn, you can mark it. Once you mark them, they are dismissed. You get the bonuses one by one. So there's some examples of cards. You're just going to play the card based on the cost if you do it as a main action. Next, we have launch a probe. Launch a probe is going to cost always 2 to launch a probe, 2 of those currency. You can spend that, and they're going to always launch over here to Earth. All right, there's that. There are some actions that can be you can gain benefits from. You can make it a little better of an action, and launching a probe is one of those. We're going to go over that shortly. But that is launching a probe. You can then, if you have a probe out here, you can decide that you want to orbit one of these planets. To do that, you're going to spend 1 energy and 1 credit, and you can see that referenced here. I'll just say what they cost, but you do have a cheat sheet. So let's say you want to orbit, as long as you're out here and you're on a planet or whatever. So in this case, Venus, if I wanted to do that, I would go ahead and orbit Venus. So I find Venus on the planetary board, and I'll get whatever it says on the orbit. If I'm the first one there, I get a little bonus victory points, so I'll get 3 victory points on top of the 6 victory points and income. That is orbiting. If you have an orbiter and you want to go ahead and land on Venus, first of all, you'll need to have another one of those probes out in space on the solar system board. And then if you're on Venus, you can then decide to land. You already have an orbiter, so you will get a discount. And that will say that on the cheat sheet. So if you have an orbiter, it'll cost 2. If I wanted to go straight to landing when I was here and I didn't do the orbiter, it will cost 3, and I can go ahead and land. When I land, as you would guess, you would put it on the actual planet. So I would, instead of getting these, I would get these rewards and go ahead and do that. You can land on these any number of times. It does have diminishing returns because if you're the first one there, you can pick the little circle spot and get that bonus. All right, and that would be landing on a planet. You can scan a planet, and scan is the second one that has bonuses that you can make that action a little better. But as it stands, if you want to scan, you're going to scan on the 2 pre-printed right here. So you're going to scan whatever Earth sector is. So right now, Earth sector is over here. If you scan, you're going to replace these. These are data. And then you're also going to scan on a card that is on display. So in this case, on our display, we have a black, yellow, and red. And these are symbolized on the board right here. Yellow, black, black, yellow, red, red. So basically in this situation, I just can't scan here or here because those are blue. But I could scan here technically because it is on the Earth sector. That's one of my choices. So I will scan, I will replace those. And that cost is right here, 1 credit and 2 energy. I can make this a lot better by getting more of those texts. We're going to go over that with the last action I talk about soon. But that is scanning. So what do we do with the data? Well, that's our next action, analyze data. So analyzing data is this right here. And if we have our entire top row filled in with data, we can do an analyze data action. So to get that data, you already saw, one way to do that is to scan. So I will be able to slot the data here, and then when I want to use it for these boards, I can. I can hold 6 here, but I can also upgrade these, so I can actually make them do things that will benefit me. However, right now they don't. These spots, these recessed spots, don't do anything. I just have to fill them out. But if I were to get to these here, I can slot them here and then get bonuses for going there, and then do optional stuff as well. Once these are all filled, I can have the option of doing an analyze data action, and that would be spending 1 energy, that's right here, 1 energy, in order to get a blue area over here. These are little alien spots right here at the very top. Once we're filled with these 3 slots, we're gonna go ahead and reveal the alien. The same thing goes over here. So getting this marks one of the blue. I can pick if I want 5 VP and a publicity or 3 VP and a publicity. So technically, I would probably be picking that first. Once all 3 of these are revealed, all 3 of these are taken, then we can go ahead and reveal this alien, which will bring new rules to the game. All right, that is analyzing data. Now this last one is how I'm getting all these benefits, how I'm getting all these tiles. And this is called researching the tech. And that's going to be done with that publicity. So we start the game at 4. Once we reach 6, we have the option of researching. When we hit 6, we're going to spend our publicity, go back down to 0, for instance, if we only had 6. And then we're going to pick any of these to do benefits of. These over here help you with landing, these over here help you with scanning, and these over here help you with analyzing data. Okay, I'm not going to go into all these, but notice that if you get the very first one, you're going to get the victory points that's on that, and that will be discarded. When you take one of these, you're going to get the thing that's actually showing on it, and then you're going to flip it over. So right then, if I took this, I would get 2 VP, a card, and that isn't a question mark, so I can take any of these or top deck, 2 VP, a card, and then I'll flip this over and I'll slot this on my board for data. That is what these do. Okay, those are all your main actions you can do. There's a few other things to cover. For instance, when you hit certain thresholds, and this is a 2-player game, you can tell that because these neutral color markers out here. When you do that, in certain spots, so 20, 30, 25, 50, and 70 are unique victory spots that let you do different things. In a 2-player game, even in a 3-player game, these will come into play over here with the aliens. These will mark these different spots. Whoever reaches that, or if both players potentially in a two-player game reach that, then they're going to go ahead and pick a spot where they take over. This neutral player helps them progress this, finding out more about this alien species. Same thing here. The gold ones here, 25, 50, and 70, will let you do a milestone. You're going to mark any of those 4 milestones. Those are random, and those are double-sided. And you're going to pick, once you hit 25, you're going to pick your very first milestone and just mark it with your color. If you wanted sets of income, different income things, then you'd go there and get 11 points per set of those, or sets of tech, or whatever it might be. You're going to pick of that. You're going to be able to do that 3 times in the game, so one of those you're not going to be able to do. All right, so you're going to keep doing any of those actions until you don't have the resources or don't want to play anymore that round, and then you will pass. You're going to discard down to 4 cards. The solar system's going to rotate based on this. And by the way, when you research tech, you're supposed to rotate that as well. So this is saying it's going to rotate. We're going to pass this marker, which means the inner circle rotates like this. If we pass the second one, the second circle, and then the third one, the third circle. They'll all be rotating. And you go counterclockwise. Okay. So like I said, you're going to discard down to 4 cards. You're going to rotate that if you're the first person to pass this round. And then you're going to choose a card from the stack of end round cards that you can see at the very top of the game. That is also going to track an end game. So you can see we're going to do this 4 times because it's a 5-round game. We're not going to do that in the 5th round. So at the end of the first round, and the second round, and the 4th round, and end of the 4th round. 3rd round, 4th round. Yep. That is a lot. So what else? Let's go over a little bit about the alien text. So like I said, when this is done, this will be revealed. All these become with a random alien race. So we have different spots here, and these become the same idea as these when you put markers on there. Like if you analyze data, when you get to put a blue, you would then have the option of putting them anywhere on this. These also come with their own stack of cards and their own rule sheets. So in this case, we would pull out the rules for the Centurions, and we would look it over. They're not terribly complex, so don't be overwhelmed. You do have some rules, and you also have solo rules right down here. What do they do differently, and all that will be a little cheat sheet that comes into the game. And you could, most likely, you're going to reveal this one at some point in the game as well. You do not reveal until all 3 of these spots are taken, though, by somebody. And you usually get a card. You get some kind of bonus if you have contributed to revealing more info about that species. All right, that gives you a pretty decent gist of the game. Marking signals is also a big part of the game that I didn't really go over, but that's how a lot of that is going to be when you win sectors. You're going to be able to get the pink areas of that. And then visiting planets gives you, landing on planets gives you the yellow section, because you know how to do the blue section. I went over that, the analyzing data, so I might as well have mentioned that's how you get those as well. So you're playing cards, you're doing all kinds of stuff on the board. Vic and I are going to go back up top and tell you what we think of this game.
All right, and we are back. Thank you, Nick, for the great overview of how you play this action selection space-themed game. So right off the top, we always like to start with first impressions. What did you think about this game when you first laid eyes on it?
I probably thought a lot of dry Euro-ness in the space game. I was thinking there's probably going to be a lot of choices. Might be complex, difficult to teach, maybe going through the motions for a little bit. But also colorful. Recess boards, nice as well. I like the alien cards. There's a bunch of alien cards. I like the way those look. That kind of popped to me. Those are my first impressions. How about you?
Yeah, I thought it was really colorful. I like space, so I was enticed by the space theme. I liked the sun in the middle of the board. That's kind of cool that you have a 3D plastic sun, and you've got these the solar system out in front of you that you know you're going to move around in different capacities, so with the inner and then middle and the whole rotation. So I thought that was cool. There was a lot to look at, and I liked the recess boards like you did as well. It should be mandatory. It's 2025, as Andrew said the last time we played. Every board must be recessed. Who cares the price?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that. I like the cards. There was a big stack of cards. So when I saw that there was a big chunk of cards, I thought that's nice. We're not going to see the same cards over and over again.
Yeah.
So,
All right, we'll go into some pros and cons. That's the bulk of our reviews. We just talk about pros, neutrals, cons.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with pros. Pros, you have plenty of actions, a lot of choices here. No game's going to be the same. A lot of cards, Vic mentioned. Replayability's there. Quite a bit of pros. You never feel like you've done enough in this game. You feel like you want to upgrade everything.
Right.
Because everything is pretty cool. I love multi-use cards. This game has multi-use cards. Even there's symbols at the top left, top right. There's symbols at the bottom right. There's main action on the card. You can spend it.
Yeah.
And there's a cost to spend it for a main action. A lot of choices with the cards alone. And there's also cards that are going to give you actions that would otherwise be main actions, but you can do them at cheaper or do something else on top of it. So yeah, there's a bunch of choices. The components I feel are pretty good for a euro. I might want to upgrade maybe the energy and the currency that they use. But other than that, I'm good with the data. I am good with all the other pieces, the marks, the orbiters, all that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was enticing. I like the theme, so that's a positive for me as I am space friendly. I really did like the variety of choices. I felt like my game has evolved as I played it, where I'm getting better at it, understanding the better use of the multi-use cards that you mentioned, because at first I clung to the ones I got. Well, there's a big deck of them. There's no need. You can kind of churn through them in a way if you can find a good way to really maximize your round before you have to pass. And I always have fun with games like that where you try so hard to not be passing in your mind too quickly, so I get a lot of kick out of that. And I think that it's limiting enough that you don't feel like it's like a point salad game where everything is giving you points and it's a smorgasbord. It's not quite like that. You do have to earn the points you get, and you think critically, like, I could get 8 points from playing this card this way. If I play this card first, then I can hopefully do an action afterwards that will then give me the boon from this card that I played. So there's a lot of planning of your turn that way and looking at your card and then thinking, oh, well, I want to use it in a different way. And then when the aliens come out, there are 4 or 5 maybe different five different aliens in the game. So we played with 4 of them. Haven't tried the 5th one, and only played this game at 2 players. So our review will be based on a 2-player only experience. We haven't had
several games of 2 and haven't played it beyond that.
Right. So I thought with the 2-player, it goes quick enough. It's not going to be the quickest game. It's supposed to be 40 minutes per player. I think it's a little longer than that. But we've gotten it to a good pace now that we've gone through it a few times. The first time there was a lot to absorb and learn, and it felt like it was a bit slower because we were checking symbology and rule checks. But yeah, I thought that it was neat when you get a new alien coming out. You can be strategic about that. That just adds another layer of strategy for your game. So I appreciated that they have the different aliens that you can discover.
That was the next pro for me is aliens. Aliens are cool as hell. I love how it changes the game when those aliens are discovered and those cards are out. And this is another thing we can kind of look at here.
Yeah.
Another way to score points, too. There's a lot of ways that you can dictate what you're going to do in this game. Like, you can get a card that's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do this because I get a card. I get 4 points every time, at the end of the game, every time I have a certain amount of whatever, landers somewhere or whatever. So I feel like there's so many things. They're like, you can go for a text of a certain type and just really hone in on that and feel like every time you do that action, it's going to be amazing. But I do think you got to diversify to a point.
Yeah.
So, I think there's just a lot of choices and a lot of things you can focus on. Once those alien comes out, it gives you another, it will entice you, 25 points just to do this.
Right.
There's going to be things that just grab you, and all of a sudden maybe you shift your strategy. Like, man, that's a lot of points that I can't really pass up. If I have the tech or whatever I can do to get those points,
right,
I can maybe seal up a win.
And it does feel too. Sorry, I'll let you finish.
I was just saying the milestones are great. Another way to get a lot of points. They're multiplied too. It's not just 11 points or whatever. It's like how many times you do that. It's 11, and you get there. The faster you get there, the better you can claim. And yeah, you go ahead. What did you have?
Yeah, I was going to say that it doesn't feel like you have to go through the same motions each time you play. Like, you're going to have to upgrade all your tech before you start doing actions. You can go ahead and scan without being researched or upgraded in the scan department. You don't feel like you're wasting or minimizing your ability just because you did an action or chose an action that isn't upgraded. And I can appreciate that because sometimes there's games where you're reluctant to do a certain action because you haven't maxed out all the possible tech on it. You're not going to really be able to do that on all pieces. It's just not going to happen. So knowing that already when you go into play, like, you'll feel more liberated to be able to choose different actions and diversify your strategy that way.
And the free actions, I didn't go over them in the overview of this game, but they feel automatic. Like, you don't even kind of just do them. And once you play the game once, you kind of understand, and you don't really. It feels natural. Like, I'm gonna exchange two for this one, and you just kind of do it. And
Yeah.
it just everything feels automatic. So yeah, a lot of choices and a lot of free actions you can pick from too that they don't feel clunky. Like, oh, I didn't remember them, or what do I do for this? No, you just put your data down. If you have data, you just want to put it down. Go ahead, put it down. So I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
How liberal it is with just go ahead and do that thing.
Me too, yeah.
All right, we'll go to neutrals or negatives. You want to start or me?
You could start, and I'll see if I can feed off you.
Sure. I feel like the weakest action is analyzing data. So I of the three choices you have, of the blue tech, the scanning tech, the data tech, and the launcher tech, whatever you want to call those. That's what I'm calling them right now. I feel like the blue is the weakest. The data one, it just feels empty. It's not exciting. I do it, but I don't enjoy it. It's just kind of there because you slot those and it gives you 2 VP. Okay?
Yeah, it gives you stuff.
Yeah, the cool part is it's optional, and those you could slow your pace by doing some of the bottom stuff and getting currency and things like that. But overall, I think that's the weakest of it. And another big negative for me is that it is a long game, like Vic said. I want to play it at 4, but I'm also like, that's going to take possibly 4 hours.
It could, yeah. It could take about an hour per person because they say 40. The teach is going to take a bit of time.
Teach will take a little bit of time.
Everyone gets a little booklet, which is nice. A reference sheet. Didn't add that to my pros. I always like that. It's a pretty good reference sheet because it does also include the milestone scoring, and it has the symbology on the back for possible actions on cards.
Another negative is the setup. The setup is a bear. If you take it out of the box, you have a lot to set up. Yeah, you have all these stacks of the tech that you have to be in a certain order, like divvied out in 4s, essentially. You have a lot of shuffling to do. You have a lot of the data and all the puzzle pieces that fit together. And yeah, it's a decent amount to set up.
And they didn't really give you a storage solution in the box. It's a baggies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have to figure your own storage for that because it would be a little easier if you kept those 4s because technically there's 12 of those stacks of 4. So you're looking at 48 pieces right there. They have to be in a certain arrangement. So that takes a little bit of time. That's about all I have for negatives. How about you?
Yeah, I think that I didn't really have a lot of negatives for this game. I guess there are times that I feel, I could have done something differently, or I shouldn't have done this before I did that, but that's more just my individual gameplay than it is about the game altogether. There was a slight confusion for me where I felt like maybe the rule wasn't clear about the orbiting, like you're orbiting a planet and then you want to land on the planet. You need to also have a secondary probe out in the solar system to then grab that and put it on the planet. And to me, thematically, I thought you have a probe orbiting the planet. You've already orbited them.
So you thought you shouldn't have to go to the planet and then land. You just thought you should be able to land.
Right, if you have a orbiter.
Yeah, anywhere. Okay.
Yeah, so that was where I was like, I was hit by surprise. We played it wrong the first time we played, and then discovered that rule. Nick read it, 7 times. Because I kept asking for clarification.
From the solar, if you're on the planet, go to the land. Yeah.
So it's not like it's unclear in the rule book. It tells you, but I thought, I don't want to play that way.
You don't want to get over there again. You've already been there.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll say that might be a negative to some people is if you're somebody that just plays a game like once, just try it out. I don't feel like this is a game that you just play once and then you can give a good review on it. I think because in my first play, I thought it was okay. I was like, okay. I looked at the actions. Like, obviously, I want to go ahead and get a lander up there. First thing I want to do. All right, now I want to go move, and I want to orbit the planet. All right, now I want to land on the planet. It's just like it felt like it was playing itself for a little bit. Like this is the logical flow that I'm going to go in, and I'm going to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And then your second play, you start getting into it because the key to this game, the best part of this game, are the cards. You want to save your credits and spend the cards. The cards will let you do a lot of times those main actions as well. The cards are the key to this game. Without that, this game is not good.
Mm-hmm.
The cards carry this game, and that's not a negative at all. I think that once you learn to play the cards right, you're going to enjoy the game quite a bit.
I agree. And then even like the unlocking of being able to land on a moon, and then suddenly you're like, I'm cool. I can get on a moon, and I can get these extra points.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Neptune and Uranus.
Yeah, 25, 26 points for landing on the moon there. You get excited, especially if you're the first. I like that there's a boon for being the first to do something that's a little better than being the next person do it, but you aren't limited that you're the only one who can do something.
On a moon, yes.
On the moon, yeah, but on the planets, you are free to do that. You can land on some aliens, not to spoil anything, but the aliens are so different. That's cool too.
There's some cool touches.
I'm supposed to be saying cons.
Well, that was a pro that we had. The aliens were awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we ready for scores? I think
so. Yeah.
All right, I'll go mine first this time.
Okay.
All right. So I kind of like holding back on my review, but it's a 9-4. It's an absolute banger of a game. I love this game. This game's amazing. I was kind of holding back, given my negatives and neutrals and whatnot, but this game is fantastic. It's one of my favorite of all time. I enjoyed the hell out of this game. So Seti, highly recommend.
Whoa. And you know what? I gave it an 8-9.
Nice.
I couldn't put it into the 9s because I wasn't sure. I'm like, is this game, I got to give it a little more tries. But I had a high score. I have the historically highest score in the Smith house here.
What do you mean?
Don't I? Didn't I just... Don't I have the
Explain. What do you mean by that?
I have a 228 or something.
Oh, in this game?
Yeah, I think I surpassed you for like the leaderboard.
I think you have the high score.
So yeah, I had so much fun maxing out like so many things, and that was a good game for me. So yeah,
I was confused. I thought you were talking about high score like those.
No,
like, what do you mean?
I caused confusion. Yeah, but it's I would say it's like a 9-2 between us both.
Yeah.
If I had to average it, I regret not going higher than 9 now that I see his score.
That's
but we
really good.
never share our scores. So this is like civilization level for me too. It feels
Civolution?
like Civolution.
Okay,
Yes,
those
like
those two games. This one and Civolution are the latest and greatest I've played.
For sure. That's that was the vibe I was feeling when we were playing it last. Like, just feels so snappy. We hope that we can get a chance to play with more people, but we know that it's going to be a time vampire.
And one bad thing, when we play with new people, we tend to play one time. And this isn't a game that you really do one time. It's like, dang it. Then we're going to have to invest 4 hours twice. Because I feel like to get the full experience, you have to know what you're doing, then revisit it and try it again. That's one of the biggest negatives. But now that I've played it, it's a 9-4. That's where I'm at right now. Yeah,
and it is always great to just play games with you.
Yeah, it's a big game. It's one we can crank out fairly quick, but not really. And if we do it 4 players, we're going to be even though we play fast, it's going to be a 4-hour game. I feel like that truly is going to be a 4-hour game. That's not including teach.
Yeah. So that's our review of Seti, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Let us know in the comments below if you've played this game. If you haven't played it, let us know what your favorite space-themed game is. If you have a space theme or an action selection even game.
That's a lot.
Very broad.
Yeah.
Broad category. We just want some comments.
How about space?
Space. If you played a game ever, comment. And like the video if you enjoyed it. And subscribe for more great reviews. We'll see you next time.
Adios.
Bye.